There are a lot of characters in Westeros people classify as good. But if you look deeper at their actions, you'll see many of them have done more harm than good.
We got a little sneaky list here that we're going to lay out for you. We're going to go over the bad things that they've done. Then we're going to go back over the list and talk about the good things that they've done, and then just kind of weigh and see which one wins, because it's kind of it's deceptive. A lot of these characters are seen as, oh, they didn't do anything wrong ever, but it turns out you guys might all be wrong, because we were wrong. We're reconsidering right now. Let us know in the comments what characters you think did more harm than good that are traditionally considered to be protagonists before we start. Let's get into this with our first pick. A surprise right off the bat, I think.
I'd say one of our favorite characters in all of A Song of Ice and Fire is Barristan Selmy, a.k.a. Barristan the Bold. Now, you might think, oh, what, Barristan? The amazing commander of the Kingsguard?
Yeah.
How much harm did he do? Okay, well, let's just remember this. If you subscribe to the fact that the Mad King was a deranged lunatic that eventually, or that could have destroyed all of King's Landing and did all these horrific things in the Red Keep, who saved the Mad King from potentially being put down? Like the quote-unquote dog he is that you may think he is.
That's big
right.
Boy.
The man that got the name for it, Barristan the Bold.
Big boy Barristan did that. Okay, the Mad King never would have had the opportunity to do any of the things that a lot of people consider to be these horrific, evil things later down the road. You know, the incident with the Starks, all of this stuff. It wouldn't have happened without Barristan's intervention. And I don't know if we're exactly going in chronological order, but just because I said it right there, I think it's worthy of bringing up. This whole Starks incident, I didn't see Barristan raising his hand and objecting as, Rickard Stark burned alive, as Brandon Stark, restrained by a basically noose around his neck, tried to claw his way toward his dying father. Like, I didn't see Barristan, raising his hand, saying, hey, this probably shouldn't be done. If anything, maybe he was snickering in the back. I don't know.
No. You know what he was saying when Brandon or Rickard is standing there, and they're like, "What? Are you gonna let this happen? You're gonna do this, Barristan? Tell me, you're supposed to be at night." And Barristan would just look at him in his classic catchphrase and say, "Those are the king's words."
Oh, dude.
And just let them die. Yeah. That's what Barristan would do. He's just a follower. He's not gonna stand in the way. He's just gonna. Those are the king's words. Barristan, come on.
And that's why, by the way, no one took him seriously later on in the series. Like in the franchise, we know when he said those are the king's words to, Robert's thing, because that's just his catchphrase. He says it all the time. He doesn't mean it. If that had been the first time he said that, it probably would hit everybody pretty hard. Like, oh, dude, Barristan is right on the money here. But it's like, oh, okay, Barristan's doing his thing again.
So he also lets his prince die at the Battle of Triton, and his sworn duty is to protect the royal family. He needs to protect them, and he just lets his prince die. And also his king dies on duty. This guy's an absolute failure. And after Robert's rebellion, he should have just taken the black or died with his king, but instead he just slimes his way back into the Kingsguard. Ugh, I guess I'll just take the same position as I did as being commander of the Kingsguard.
I know.
God, are you serious?
And then he's so prissy too. He's like, oh, I don't like the way this is going. After all, backpedals again, ditches, like hightails it over to Essos to try his luck with Dany. Right, tries, because this is like a young, impressionable person. He can get away with whatever he wants over here. Saves Dany's life. So if you already didn't like that he saved the Mad King because of the horrors that the Mad King inflicted on Westeros and King's Landing, you think Dany's much different? I mean, take what you want from the last few seasons of Game of Thrones, canon-wise, but it seems like the idea is Dany is not so different. Not so different.
And like you mentioned earlier, Barristan was excused or relieved of his duties off the Kingsguard, right? And why was he relieved of his duties? It wasn't because, Barristan, you hold all the records, you're the champ, we got to let someone else have a chance here. You're just the absolute GOAT. No, it was, hey, Barristan, weren't you on the hunt with my dad when he died? How did that boar get in the way? Aren't you just like a walking mark of death?
True.
Name the kings and royal family that died underneath his reign. Robert, Rhaegar, King Aerys, and then basically all the other Targaryens too, right? Elio Martell.
Yeah, the children.
Rhaenys. Aegon. Well, no,
Aegon the Sixth is alive. Okay, he's the one person. Yeah.
There's too much blood on his white cloak. He should be retired, and he should actually just be thankful that he has his head on his shoulders when he leaves.
So, given everything we just said, I mean, now positives for Barristan? Dude, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not finding any. Look, what the hell did he do that was good ever? His whole life, just like general good deeds, like chivalry. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, maybe good role model for other upstanding knights such as Jaime Lannister. I don't know. Yeah, he seems like a good guy. He just is an absolute failure as a knight, and yeah, I just don't know anything good that he's ever done. Honestly, this might be the worst person. And as much as I love Barristan, he might be like on the He might be sitting right next to Sandy on our list of the shit tier characters now.
I think so too. I mean, he's a good guy, but he's like a horrible character judgment. Like if it's like, most people want to go back in time and kill a certain someone or whatever, that you'd find Barristan going back specifically to save that person. Like if he saw Joseph Stalin about to fall off the edge of a cliff, he'd save him. So next, I think we should go with Ned. Dirty Ned, Neanderthal Ned. We have problems with him. We have big issues with Ned. He has notoriously made a lot of decisions that are wrong. He is seen as one of the most morally righteous characters in the show and one of the good guys. He's done the most good. I don't think so. What do you think the first instance that we see of him doing something stupid is?
Ned should have warned Robert about Lyanna. This is a crazy horse girl that was inevitably going to cause issues, not only to herself, but others around her. This person does not need to be in not only Robert's life, but Ned's life as well. Like, this is a bad juju. Bad juju here, Gator.
Yeah, dude, if there's one thing that a bro is supposed to do, it's supposed to warn your brother about crazy, crazy women. And this is example number one. There's no one who's in a better position to understand how crazy Lyanna is than Ned, right? I mean, they grew up together, so huge L for Ned there. Another instance of, people would call this ignorance. I don't know. This is bridges to like negligent born evil almost. He beheads the one guy that had foreknowledge of the pending White Walker invasion. This dude wants to warn you guys, like, hey, I didn't want to abandon my post. I did not want to, but there's an apocalypse coming down here, and I'm kind of scared. I'm not very well educated. I'm trying to tell you about it. I know you're not going to probably believe me, but please hear me out. And what does Ned do? Unsheaths ice and makes all of his underage children watch him murder a man.
Yeah, attempts to aura farm there, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say all this stuff here. And, do you guys know why I had to do that? It's actually very powerful what I just did right there. What about in that same episode or book when Ned Stark allows all of his children, in the books, they're way younger than they are in the TV show. He allows them to adopt these, not puppies, not wolves, but dire wolves that look like small horses when they're fully grown. Why did he ever think this was a good idea? He's like, I guess if you feed them and you take them on walks, I'll show you how to be responsible. It's like, dude, no, these are feral creatures you're bringing into your home. You're an idiot, Ned. Then all of a sudden he's surprised when one of them attacks our gentle King Joffrey, and he has to put one down. Dude, blood on your hands, Ned, here. You're an idiot. You're going to bring it down to King's Landing? Oh, he puts the L in what? Winterfell? He's an idiot.
Yeah. No, dude, 100%.
Direwolf, pick your L.
Yeah, pick your L. 100% true, man. I mean, the legendary Micah the Butcher's Boy, we all know what his potential would have been if he had been able to live and train and do his shit. But Ned's actions, by letting these children adopt these wolves, this is what directly led to his death. It's like the Hound wouldn't be able to stand up to the Butcher's Boy if he had been grown, but this is child Butcher's Boy. The Hound barely managed to squeak out that win, and he was bragging about it, the running speed alone. Ned makes a lot of bad decisions. This one might be at the top because it just shows he doesn't really care about his kids. I don't believe that he is that ignorant to the dangers of these things. He lives in the North. He actually makes other decisions that indicate he has some wisdom in life. And we like to call him an idiot on this channel, but he's not a total idiot. He just makes bad decisions. This isn't that, okay? This is not that. This is like, I should be well aware of the dangers I'm putting my small children in. Doesn't care at all.
And there might be some positives from this incident as well. We can talk about this right after.
No.
That, these dire wolves, it's the only reason why Robb Stark is successful as he is in the Riverlands is because he has this warging ability with his direwolf Greywind, and Jon might be able to come back, at least in the books, through his direwolf ghost, right? But one action that he did that really has no positives to it whatsoever, and you might argue there are, is Ned Stark getting Cyril Farrell to become Arya's water dancing teacher. You may think like, oh, this is so nice, then Arya learns how to defend herself. No, you gave Arya the thirst for whatever you want to call this, blood at an early age, or this fighting, when she should have just learned how to, I don't know, just keep her head down and try to survive. Instead, she's learning how to fight actively. But also, this guy is a groomer. He is trying to indoctrinate little Arya into his Bravosi religion. Dude, if you hired this guy to like help defend your kid, yeah, sure, that's one thing. But this guy is also indoctrinating your kid. And then on top of it, now Arya goes down this path of becoming a faceless man. If he doesn't push Arya down this path, there's potentially Arya just goes off somewhere else and maybe even meets her family and just lives a normal life instead of being this tortured soul that has a list to kill people. This isn't normal behavior for a girl underneath 12 years old.
Dude, I wouldn't hire a Bravosi to pump my gas for free. Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't let this guy anywhere near my kid, especially when he's that short. Okay, like there's nothing wrong with being a shorter guy, but when you're that much of a shorter guy and you're not like a dwarf like Tyrion, something's up. Something's up. You're not coming anywhere near my small child, especially with spouting off about your religion. Listen, old gods, super cringe. All right, really ridiculously cringe old gods are, but I hesitate to say that whatever strange revisionist religion that Serial Frail subscribes to, the one God, the God of death. Not a fan of that either, okay? Both of these are like equally pagan to me. So, Ned once again.
Another thing Ned does, which is just a 0 IQ move, which he comes from a good place, but he tries to not only save Dany from Robert's wrath, but also gives Cersei a warning before he actually makes his move in the political court or within, the Red Keep. These are two huge moves that have horrible ramifications later on. So his actions are causing more harm than good. Like, what good actions can you compare? Based off the entire list we've just laid out there, Gator, what good actions could he have to outweigh all this negative? All these negatives.
No, I mean, there's really not much there. It's like you raised children successfully up until they were like 10 years old, and then everything went off the rails because of how stupid you are. Like, no one is going to... I hesitate to think that anybody would look at a man who like, oh, he raised such a beautiful family. Look at how beautiful they all were until age 10, and then half of them died and the other ones became depressed for the rest of their lives. That sucks. That's not a successful child rearing, I wouldn't say. And it was in his control. That's the thing. It was within his control. The Cersei thing is huge. He didn't want to be in the situation at King's Landing. I get it, but he still could have navigated that with his family first in mind and thought, yeah, you know what, things might go to hell here or whatever, but I'm just not going to get involved. Or he could have acted before allowing Cersei to make her move, right? He could have done it without warning her, and then it would be fine. Same with the Dany thing. Dany goes on to cause huge trauma, huge problems over in Essos. I guess you could maybe say that Ned saved Jon, did a good thing for a bastard by bringing up to Winterfell, claiming it's his own son. But then again, he also fisted him with it because he didn't tell Catelyn about it. So Catelyn is this ultimate resentment. Yeah. He's basically being raised in a single father household, which, isn't the worst, but it's like, dude, you probably want to have a mother figure too, especially having your other siblings right there with you, being Jon, right? Your other siblings are there getting this motherly attention. Like, if Jon was just the slightest bit tweaked in the head, he would have become like a psychopath, dude. Right,
and don't get me started on how Ned really feels about Jon, because he didn't even warn him about the state of the wall.
True.
And he's like, yeah, the Night's Watch is an honorable course for a Stark to take, and you're a Stark. You have Stark blood in you. And then he goes up there and goes, this place is a bunch of rapists and murderers up here. What am I doing up here? Why didn't anybody warn me? What the frickin' heck? Real quick then, comparing Barristan and Ned, who do you think has done more harm overall, impact-wise?
Oh, really tough. I mean, both of them ultimately saved Dany. So, but Ned did it first. Barristan wouldn't even have the chance to save Dany if Ned hadn't already saved him or her.
True, but Barristan did it way more hands-on than Ned ever did. And if anything, Ned was like, hey, stop that letter from killing Dany. And Varys is like, that letter has already been sent, my lord.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
He went way out of his way. Yeah, it's true. And also, too, the Mad King situation. So Ned was kind of trying to kill the Mad King versus Barristan, who wanted nothing more than to save his beautiful Mad King. I love you, Mad King. So, I think it's probably Barristan.
Barristan, has done more harm for sure. Now, a person who could rival his harm to the realm, Catelyn Stark, Lady of Winterfell, who is the only reason why Ned trusts Littlefinger in the Red Keep during all of the plotting and scheming going on. Also, she's the reason why Littlefinger is the little conniving creature he is by torturing him at a young age. She's also the reason why the Lannisters and Starks are going at each other's throats so hard, because she captures Tyrion, releases Jaime. She bargains. She has a horrible, negotiating tactics or negotiating skill with bargaining with Walder Frey. And then at the end of the day, she becomes a demonic creature when she's resurrected from Beric Dondarrion in the Riverlands. She's done I'm trying to think of any good things she's done. But is there anything else I've missed here for the harm that Catelyn has done overall?
You just laid it out. You just dropped your nuts right out there and laid it all out. And it's 100% true, dude. There's nothing good that she has ever done. In moments where she could do good things, she still is acting like a Karen witch the whole time, and looking like one too if we're going by the show aesthetic, okay? It's never been good. Sean Bean, Ned. Just like the Ned thing, you could say that she loved her kids, so that's like a positive thing. She was a good mother to her kids. But how good is it really? Like, how good is her motherly instinct really when there's another child that's the same age as her kid? This is an innocent child, done nothing wrong. This is a blank slate in the world. And you treat him horribly? Like, come on, that's an innocent person just because you're pissed off, you're emotionally worked up. Not cool. Cat, I think she probably takes, I don't know if she takes the number one spot. We'll see what Littlefinger does. In the books, depending on what Littlefinger does, she might take number one.
Yeah, I think she is number 2 for sure. I think Barristan's number 1,
Yep.
Cat 2, Ned 3.
Yep.
And it's mostly because she's a very active character. She does a lot of things that put the Starks in a bad position, and Ned is forced to react versus being... not to say that when Ned is acting, he's all that intelligent and it's making good moves, but he's mostly reacting to Kat's weird freestyling she's doing in Westeros. But a character I think could rival Barristan just because the lack of good deeds, and it's mostly just negatives. But people look at this person as if he's a hero. Oberyn Martell, aka the Red Viper, what good deeds has this guy done? Only thing I can think about is he tried to save Tyrion. Like, he was selfless at going after the mountain. But even that, he had a motivation to go after old Gregor Clegane. But then when you ask yourself, like, okay, you're going after Greg to enact revenge because he allegedly killed your sister. Why was your sister alone in the Red Keep? Where were you during Robert's Rebellion, Oberyn? Oberyn, what have you been doing? What do you do, Oberyn? And if anything, you just see that he is a little shitster who poisons people and pretends like he's a badass when he really is just a piece of shit. He's just awful.
Yeah, I mean, dude, yeah, he is. He's awful. He poisons people. He is a cowardly fighter. He thinks he's cool. He's got like some riz, right? So he gets like the women attention. The men kind of hate him, but they have to pretend to like him because all the other women are liking what he's putting down. And you know how it is. It's primitive society, dude. You got to play the game. You can't seem like a social outcast. Oberyn's got the center of attention. It's just social manipulation is all it is. You know what the one positive thing maybe he contributed? And this is just honestly the only thing I could think of. He gives the Citadel and the Maesters a little bit more hands-on experiences with like these new flavors of STDs he's introducing to the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. That's the only thing I could think of, you know what I mean? He's just screwing around, having sex with anything that moves. This is why he missed Robert's Rebellion. He was plugging here and plugging there. He fathered how many bastards who he claims he's a great father to, and that's like the lore. But something tells me he's not that great of a father, or all of his bastards wouldn't turn out to be like horrible murderers, you know what I mean? Also sexually degenerate, by the way. So, no.
Also, why is that a cool or positive thing you can say about Oberyn Martell, that he loves his bastards? No, in Dorne, it's their culture to love bastards.
That's it, yeah.
Like, they don't care about
normal.
that. It's like, yeah, it's normal. So it's like us today saying like, oh, you guys believe every human has rights? Oh, back in my day, you'd be like an abolitionist. It's like, yeah, well, it's not that cool of a thing here because like everyone basically believes that everyone has rights. Like every person is naturally free, but if you go to another culture, yeah, you're so distinct and different, but you're not brave because you have your own culture and norms in a different area. That's not being brave. That's not a positive. That's just your natural morality. It's just basically the blank slate, or you want to say default setting from being a Dornishman, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it would be brave if like the other culture contrasted and conflicted with it so extremely that they would like harm you for having that view, right? Like if it was a religion that was directly opposed to the religion that these native people follow or something like that, that would be major. That'd be major. But that's not this situation. This is just a burnout like party boy who, again, like thinks it's cool to be a burnout party boy. It's like, dude, we got plenty of those. There's nothing that separates Oberyn from like your average brothel hopper in Flea Bottom. You know what I mean? The only difference is where he was born.
And if anything, Oberyn Martell just undermines the Dornish plot, anything Doran is trying to do. He is just a little wild card thrown into the highly calculated moves of Doran Martell, who suspiciously sits next to the Water Gardens way too long with a thick blanket over his lap.
Yes, exactly.
Don't get me started on Doran.
Right. His legs don't work, but his hands do.
Who would you say is worse then, Barristan or Oberyn? Because I think Oberyn is worse. He has way more negatives about him, or I shouldn't say that. He has like no positives whatsoever, I feel like, about him compared to the Cat and Ned. They do have a lot of negatives or harm they've done to the realm. But is Oberyn Martell up there? Because at the end of the day, what does he do? He tries to take down the mountain, but then creates a zombie giant monster of Robert the Strong for Cersei to have. And with someone's life on the line, he taunts at this trial by combat. Like, this guy is not doing anything good. He's just a net negative. But is it negative enough to Barristan, Cat, Ned? Where do you think he ranks?
I think that he's still worse than Barristan because it's true, like the mountain thing came up, and I guess if you really want to extrapolate that, you could say that the mountain's presence is kind of what allowed the Faith Militant to flourish, right, under Cersei or whatever, and so some people think that that's bad. And if you want to count that, I guess maybe he's up there. But no, dude, it's no contest. Barristan, even though I'd rather hang out with Barristan 10 out of 10 times over Oberyn, right? Like if you put me in a room with Oberyn, I have to kill him. I have to try to kill him. Like, he'd just be so annoying, dude. What would we talk about? It'd just be terrible. But Barristan, I know for a fact I could get along with that guy. Despite that, I think Barristan committed way more harm to the realm, dude. Way more harm to the realm, okay? Way more harm to the realm. The Mad King, Dany, I mean, those two things alone. You save the Mad King, you save Dany, and then you also have these character flaws, like he's not sticking up for the Starks when they're getting burned alive, stuff like that. I don't really care about the Starks, but I still can acknowledge that it's probably not the right thing to do when you're this noble, heroic dude just sitting in the background, like eating popcorn, watching these two dudes fry.
Yeah, as much as I don't like Oberyn Martell, I actually think he is the least harm to the realm overall compared to Ned and Cat and Barristan.
For sure.
I put him at dead last, even though he has no positives to him, in my opinion. He is just a net negative or just a gross negative. There's no positive whatsoever.
No, I mean, it's harm to himself, right? Like, Oberyn's hurting himself for the most part. Hopefully, he feels the repercussions of that harm at some point, like his liver gives out, or maybe he gets a little too much poison on his hands and then it seeps into his body and kills him. Maybe an STD takes him early, you know? And if that's the case, I think then the good does outweigh the bad.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this and smash that like button.
Or not, we don't care.